name is again Vasu Sambasivam. I'm a CIO at Calcos. I'm very happy to be talking to you all today. Thank you for the people who could make it. The recording, as Christine said, would be available online as well. If you have any questions, do interrupt. We are very happy to answer them. One of the reasons I want to say before I start the introduction, one of the reasons I joined the credit union is for exactly for these purposes. These are webinars for the wellness of our members, no strings attached to the credit unions. So in that angle, I'm so glad I'm part of an organization that is looking out for its members. And certainly member education, member awareness, member information sessions that we are trying to do here. And hopefully you will find it valuable. We have your best interest in our mind. With that, let me start with today's topic around cybersecurity and awareness. This is something that keeps us up at night. Extremely critical function of everything that we do. My team, our organization, the overall company, everything that we touch with the members, internal data, employees, that is absolutely critical for us. Okay. When we talk about cybersecurity, we typically think about threats in a macro sense. Okay, at a macro level to set the stage, right? The left-hand portion of it, governments and nations that could be a threat. We are very well aware of that, right? They pose a danger to our national security. But this is including acts of war, acts of terrorism. We are so close past of September 11th. For people like me and us who are during that period, we clearly understand where we were at, and our heart goes out for it. But absolutely, that is well-known form of terrorism and other things that happens on it. On the right side is a natural disaster that is beyond our control, but something that we certainly plan for, but beyond our controls in terms of events and happening. But the primary focus of today's discussion is around in the cyber terrorism space, and what does it actually mean to us, right? In terms of cyber terrorism, it is online criminals that pose a threat to us. What do you mean by that? They pose a threat to our national security. They pose a threat to our businesses. They pose a threat to our individuals in this. It can happen from government-sponsored agencies. It can happen from cyber terrorist groups. But the whole reason is it creates a risk and exposure if you don't handle it properly. And that's what my role is within the company. That's what our team's role is to do that. But in terms of members, we also want to protect their savings, their data, their information. Okay. Why do they want to do it? As you well know, it is primarily around economic institutions that they want to create some damage around. They want to bring down government websites. They want to bring down key infrastructure, whether it is power, banking, financial services, anything that you try to do. That is exactly what their notion is, to create disruption that is negative in a sense. Okay. There may be some ideology behind it, but that's immaterial to the conversation here. But we are here to safeguard the assets for our members. Okay. And this online, criminals that pose a danger to us. Why is it, and what do you want to do? They want to steal the information. Once you have the information, free data, your first name, last name, email, phone number, social security information, bank account information, even account username, password, they can get that, access the data and do something with it, whether that is with this institution or something else in general, right? That's their agenda that they want to go tackle. So let's go in to see what that cyber terrorism actually means to us. On a day in and day out basis, what you're seeing here is a very recent threat map. It is available publicly. You can go look at it. Certain companies actually publish it. But it basically shows you where the threats are originating from and where it is targeted towards. Okay. That's all this. This may be slightly dated, maybe a week or so information in order for us to prepare this data. But that essentially shows how much of the target US is and certain part of Europe's are, because significant amount of wealth and information that is happening. It is just not banks, it is our governments, it is our businesses, and it is our collective mission, so to speak, to secure and provide some assurance that, our digital systems, our actual systems that include handle member data are safe and secure all the time. And that gives you a view on day in and day out basis the threat our government sees and even our businesses sees. Okay, so what does it actually mean? We always see this in the news these days, but sometimes we get numb to it. I just want our members to be very well aware of the risk here. Here the screen actually is showing you the top 10 biggest data breaches that is there. And there are many more that are happening, and you can see it on the news that come out, right? This is clearly targeting US businesses in infrastructure and continues to be a threat, okay? Just to give you a few, the biggest one there is Yahoo. That happened a few years ago, not recent, but still 3 billion plus accounts, okay? Significant amount of username and password information breach on it. There are some financial institutions like Heartland Financial, payment-related systems that got breached. Hotels and travel, Marriott is a very big name, 500 million plus, that we know of user information potentially breached and whatnot. There are many one of LinkedIn from a social perspective, MySpace also from that angle, Twitter, all of them are clearly focusing on key targets for social and public infrastructure, energy and financial, in insurance. Okay, these are the key target, wealth of information, not just your information, but the links that you have in your LinkedIn profile. If you have 30 people in your LinkedIn profile, all the 30 people information are potentially at risk, and all of them has to be, has to be managed. That's the risk that we are tackling towards in terms of how we want to tackle. This is on a big scale, and this is happening even on smaller institutions, mid-sized institutions. But the target is bigger on a bigger footprint, like Yahoo, Marriott, eBay, and because thieves can get more data from them. Okay, so what does it mean for cyber criminals and what? Part of it, we do things behind the scenes for the safety of the members, but the significant portion of it, one of the key takeaways I want the people here to have today is the responsibility starts with you. Okay. At the end of the day, you own your information, you own your privacy. Certainly, credit unions like us, we want to safeguard it to the best of our ability, and we do it day in and day out. But your lifestyle, I want you to understand your lifestyle paves a way for your security. Okay, and that's where the key focus of today's discussion is going to look like. So the first part of it is what we call is securing the keys to the kingdom. We will look at each one of them. Don't trust the messenger is the second theme. The third one is around cyber safe during travel, which is a significant risk. The fourth aspect that we will look at is protecting your home, not just in terms of your physical protections that you put in, but also cyber protections that you need to take care of. And then many of us, children and usage of net, we want to think about children and net safety. I think those are the aspects that we want to go look at it. Christine, if there are any questions, please let me know. I will pause before we go into the next series of slides.
Okay, Vasu, we have no questions yet, but I just want to remind everyone as questions arise, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and then we will be sure to pause and address those.
Okay, thank you. The first one is, what does it mean by securing the keys to the kingdom? It is very important to understand is you control some of these best practices on it, right? What we mean, first one is importance of a good password protocol, right? Cannot be overstated in terms of what is needed here. Passwords and logins are extremely important. sometimes the only layer defending between your information and the criminal, okay, who wants to access that information. Stronger the password, the better it is. I absolutely understand how difficult it is to remember 50 different sites and 50 different passwords. But I would say two things. One, stronger passwords. Avoid the temptation to provide dummy responses. What do you mean by that? Okay. When we look at that, each website, when you log in, either it is CalCoast or some other social sites, they ask you just to provide your account name and password, but also give you some authentication questions. Hey, what is your first school? What is your first car, right? Typically, people take that for granted, okay? They give you dummy answers for it. Avoid that temptation to log into the website quickly. Take a moment to provide answers that are smart and unique, not necessarily too revealing as well, okay? Just make sure that you do that. I'm sorry. Just make sure you do that portion of it. It takes some time to do it. The second aspect in securing your kingdom is give almost all key websites, especially banks, but also social websites and other financial websites that you use, provide you something called multi-factor authentication. That is, in addition to your passwords, they allow you to enable either using your phone or some other mechanism to be devices, either email, phone, or even hard tokens for that you can go use. Basically allows to say when you log in, that is a second form of authentication for you to validate yourself whether that is correct. Okay. Typically, cell phones is what is being used, but using that, they give you a one-time code, one-time password, whatever that may be, and then you have to use that as a second layer of authentication to do it. Please embrace that function. Don't think of it as another layer of hindrance into actually using a service, but it is absolutely needed for you to get to it. The criminals at the same time are becoming smart. Now they know they are using your phone to be the ones. They try to port your number to to their cell phone numbers. Okay. And you need to be very careful with that as well. Your mobile carrier has options where you can safeguard porting a number without your, and they have some controls around it. You may need to see whether it is T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, what you use, or somebody else. Talk to them and see how do you protect yourself when somebody arbitrarily taking your SIM number, your phone number, and porting it. Now they have control to your keys to the kingdom. Okay. So those are the few main things that you want to take away in terms of securing your kingdom. One is stronger passwords. Two is avoid using personal information as passwords. You don't use your password and your street number or something that is easily publicly findable or publicly known. Resist using simpler passwords so that are the same passwords for multiple sites. I know it is a challenge. We completely understand that. But please, if one site gets breached using the same password, multiple sites where you log into could be breached. Okay. Embrace two-step authentication. That is, use MFA, whether it's your cell phone, email, some other mechanism. Please turn that on because otherwise it is another layer of security that is getting removed and you don't want to do it. Okay. Last one I would say is protect your mobile devices, right? Talk to your carrier. Also have the phone. Don't have a phone without having a password, some sort of passcode or something that into your mobile device. Otherwise, if your device is lost, somebody else can easily access all your apps on the screen, including your emails. Okay. Those are some of the things in terms of securing your kingdom that you want to do before, that really that you can do simply, that really responsibility lies with you. That's the first one. I'm going to go to the next item is around, the next topic is don't trust the messenger. Okay. Very easy to do. All of us get so many emails every day that we can easily fall into a trap of responding to something or clicking on something. Email still continues to be the most common methods by which cyber criminals activate yourself. They can gather information or worse yet, they can commit some crimes. Okay, and there are multiple ways in which they do it. Some of them is phishing for information. Some of them is ransomware, where they take hostage of your own computer or the device in which you are logging in on, in terms of doing it. Okay. In terms of just emails, there are some things that are highlighted on the screen here, right? This is a sample, scam email that came in. Usually when they come in, they give you a sense of urgency. That is, they tell you you need to act immediately or something else is going to happen. Okay. This is a typical phishing scam that happens, but don't get trapped into it. Okay. Number two is that they will give you some emails here, links for you to click. Never click on a link without looking at what that link is. That is, if you hover your mouse over this link, it will actually tell you what that link is. Please make sure that it is a site that you use or you know about or you trust. Don't click it. Don't click it blindly. Is our feedback. Third is look for things that are spelling mistakes and other urgency that comes in. Hey, your email address immediately. No financial institution, especially CalCoast, will not ask you to do that. Okay, so please hesitate for a second, stop and think before you move it. And there will always be some bad spelling or grammar in the email. Those are some key giveaways in terms of in terms of things that you want to look for. Okay, improper use of web domain, we would never do this thing. Look out for it. And any other signs, if they tell you, oh, we are going to charge you a fee, this is you need to matter of great importance that you want to act immediately, that's a trap. Don't fall into the trap. Okay. All these things are signs for you to look for. Your email may contain some or all or none of this, but just make sure. If you don't feel confident or if you feel suspicious of certain things, don't click on it. Call the institutions. If it is CalCoast that is getting spoofed, please stop. Call our number. Go to our website. Call our 800 number, our support number, MSC Member Service Center. Somebody will be there to help you. Okay, please don't fall into the trap. So that is the first part of don't trust the messenger. That is easily taking an email bait. The second part is actually sending emails with attachments and links. Another classic form of risk that we see with our members or with other people in the industry as well. Many fraudulent emails contain attachments. Okay. These attachments usually try to install something on your device, okay, whether it is a PC, laptop, your phone, doesn't matter, okay. And this device or this software that they are trying to install can source information from the device or actually lock out the device for you. In the screen that you see, if you want to unlock the files that you want to go use it, they want to pay you a ransom for it. In 2017, I don't know how many people remember, in 2017, one of the biggest one that came about, WannaCry ransomware, affected probably 150 plus countries across the world. And in many cases, it was extremely difficult to get the files unlocked and actually use it. So the advice here is, just be aware of if you are expecting that attachment to come through. If you are expecting an attachment to come through, still validate it if it is a case. If you are even slightly suspicious, call the person that is sending you it. Call the institution that is sending you that information and tell them, hey, validate with them. Is this something that we should be doing before you do it? More importantly, make sure the links that you click is not pointing to malicious software that will install something on your computer and take it under their control. Okay, I think those are very key. The two things that you want to take away from the previous slide to this one is absolutely make sure the information that you have is what you are expecting. If it is anything suspicious, don't click on it. More importantly, as a financial institutions, I should say, we will never send you something and ask you something on an email to provide your personal information. We may ask you to call. The only thing, if you're suspicious of it, call us. Our numbers are well publicized. Go into a branch. We have branches all over San Diego and Riverside. Absolutely, this thing. So anytime you do this, please don't fall into the trap. Okay. Christine, before I go into the next set of slides, any questions so far?
Yes, actually, we do have questions. All right. So question number one, wasn't one of the big credit reporting agencies the victim of a major data breach a few years ago?
Absolutely. Great observation. That was one of the big three credit reporting agency was breached. Significant portion of, I'm going to say around 200 to 300 million people there also was breached. Compared to the Yahoo 5 billion, we didn't put that on the top list. Certainly it is one of the top breaches for sure. But I want to take that question slightly differently as well. When that breach happened, that agency also provided credit monitoring services, which we will talk through in the later section of it. When such breaches happen, don't discard them. Make use of those services. I know that's not the best response you could do, but that is the best action you could take in that point in time. Okay. So make sure that when those breaches happen, I'm impacted. Every one of us is probably impacted. I'm so sorry. Every one of us is probably impacted. The main one you want to think about is how do you react and act, in a safe manner when that happens. So when those happens, make sure you follow through with the services that entity is providing to you. So that's the first one. What's
Great.
the second question?
Second question, with regards to the email example that you were showing about the phishing, will it suffice to delete the email or should you also try to block it?
Yeah, I think we should do both. Number one is delete the email. And if you see a pattern in the sender's address, then block it. Okay. In some cases, I want to use some caution here. In some cases, there may be a compromised account. Say, Jane is getting that email from John, and John's email has been compromised. You don't want to just block John completely. So you want to make sure you put some, put some awareness around it. If it is an email address that you don't recognize, then report it. All of the email agencies, almost all of them, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, Outlook, Hotmail, all of them have some features to say report spam. You should be able to say report spam and then block that email from you. But if it is a compromise of your friend's accounts or a family member's account, you may want to use caution in those cases.
Great. All right. Next question. Who can we report scam or malicious emails and text messages to? Is there an agency that handles these emails or text messages?
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good question. Well nuanced on it. So if it is targeting a specific institution, okay. Say, for example, you have an account with CalPost and that is targeting that, or with any other financial institution for that matter of fact, you do want to make them aware of it. Because, you may think that, hey, I reported to them, I didn't hear back from them. Certain cases, we are unable or able to share it, but every one of those cases, I wanted to take, if there is one thing people to take away is we act on it, in a very diligent manner. If you are getting spam that says CalPost or any other financial institution, please do report to them, number one. Number two is, I don't know about you, I have two different, cell phone plans. All of them have a service to report a spam to the telephone carrier as well. Please do that also. If it increases a lot, I think the conversation with your cell phone provider and to see how you can minimize it is the right thing to do at that point. Okay. Unfortunately, the nature of this business, that is, there is no clear target in which who is trying to tackle you. It is very hard, whether it is government or the cell phone carriers, to tackle it. But those are some of the measures among many that you could take.
Great, thank you, Vasu. All right, so John has a question. He says, I asked one of my financial institutions whether they offer two-step verification for security purposes, and they replied that they do not. This institution provides me with an app for banking on my phone if desired. I have expressed to this institution my concerns about security, and they have given me assurances that they have sufficient security in place and that my transactions are safe. But without two-step verification, do you consider doing banking in this manner too risky?
Yeah. Everywhere that in the recent years, let me preface that everywhere that I have transacted, we have tried to use multi-factor authentication or two-step authentication, like you said, not only for during login, but also during important transactions as well. So if I'm transferring something, in those cases as well, there is a feature where you can do step-up authentication for this. While I can't talk about a specific institution, our recommendation is always enable the two-step if it is possible, and also include the feature that CalPost is providing in terms of step-up authentication. That is, if you are sending a large sum of money that doesn't fall into certain norms, it allows you to tag those. We tag them as high risk, and have some other additional layers of controls to be followed, either by our fraud team or by a 2FA. That's how we are trying to be safe and secure of our member data and member information. Our preference is to have 2FA, to answer your question directly.
Okay, great. Now, Nora asks if there are any apps that save passwords that you recommend.
Yeah. This was one of the things that internally, when we were preparing for the material, where to draw the line between a product recommendation versus member awareness. To answer the question directly, unfortunately, we cannot give you product recommendations on a specific one. But I would say, if you look at some of the, accredited cybersecurity sites that provide you that information security information or other areas, that recommendations is something what personally I would trust as well. While as CalPost CIO, I'm not able to recommend you any specific products, but some of the well-known ones that are US based, I would probably trust it a lot more than writing it on a piece of paper and carrying it with you.
All right, and actually the last one is just a nice comment saying that Sharon says you're doing an excellent job with this presentation and she's learning a lot. So with that, we've addressed all the questions, so we can move on, and then we'll pause again to address any others that come in.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's go to the next one. The biggest risk in terms of cybersecurity and you is when you're traveling, okay? There are multiple forms to it. In my various different roles, when I travel in certain areas, we actually take a new laptop, new phone during that time frame, and then come back and get back to your original devices and whatnot. That's a level of security that in many cases that we do. But from an individual perspective and family perspective, we cannot stress enough how safe you should be when you're traveling. Number one, when you're traveling to regions that are supposedly high risk, may not see US as a friend or whatever that may be the case, right? At least my personal preference is I take a different device for that period of time and then come back and switch back. So use caution when you travel that way. In many cases, people are traveling between these 50 states, Canada and Mexico. It's very easy to travel. But you are always relying on public Wi-Fi, okay? Just use caution when you do that. Notorious cyber cafes and all these public Wi-Fis are actually giving you free Wi-Fi so that they can get information when you are surfing the web or using apps. Just be extremely careful, okay? There are ways you can enable it. If the wireless doesn't have security on it, you probably want to avoid it. If they are saying anybody can log into their Wi-Fi, you probably want to avoid it. Usually airports are slightly of a misnomer. If it is an airport, if it is in Wi-Fi that is provided by the airport security, then it's different. Or the airport authority, then it's different. But typically you want to avoid any public Wi-Fis that doesn't ask for, some level of increased security in their usage. Okay. The second most important one is publicizing it, how much you want to share it on the web. Many cases it is you are publicizing, hey, tomorrow I'm going to leave the country, I won't come back within for 30 days, and blah blah blah. Then that gives an option for and that you share it on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, whatever that you may be. You're providing your awareness of where you're going to be, and that you're not going to be in your house, in your premises for some time. Gives opportunities for people to additional risk for theft. That is the second aspect. The third aspect is we all hope everybody's travel is fun and safe and whatnot, right? But things do happen. Things do happen. You may lose your device. You may lose your phone. In those cases, it is very important for you to see if you can A, lock it immediately, or B, even erase the information to do it. In many cases, when you have an iPhone, there is always a Find My Phone function enabled. Okay. There are some privacy concerns that you might think about. Hey, Find My Phone means that everybody, that Apple or even your own set of family members may know where you're going, where you're coming. I will leave it up to you guys to ponder that for a moment. But Find My Phone is absolutely useful when you want to say where your phone is lost or where it is now, and even give additional controls to be able to erase the device remotely. Okay, so that somebody else, even though they have the phone, they cannot do it. That's number one. Number two is call your cell phone provider. Immediately tell them you want to lock that number. You don't want anybody to access it for using it for illegal purposes, not just for bank account, for other illegal purposes as well. And be very careful, okay, with that. When you share something on email and social media, be extremely careful what you don't want, right? You don't want to advertise to the whole world your house is going to be empty. Okay, please don't do that. I mean, of course, we are not in a position to describe how you should live your lifestyle. And I hope that is not the intent of the message. Message is to say, just be careful what you share, especially, that with your financial information that you share online. Number three, I would say, in the sense is, if you are traveling internationally, almost all institutions, I can speak for Calcos, but almost all institutions have a feature where you can call into your institution and tell them, hey, I'm going to be in the region such and such. Hey, I'm going to be traveling to South America. This travel period is for this time. If the transactions is happening in this countries, it is probably legit. I want you guys to allow it, but also have a monitoring. What that allows us Calcos to do, not just Calcos, but many institutions, to that matter of fact, is they have some additional awareness to say, hey, okay, this set of people are going it. They can mark it in their system, have some additional controls enabled so that they can safeguard you in addition to your own safeguardness to say what it is on there. If you come back, say it is a week, and you come back and the transaction is happening 2 weeks later, they can actually, potentially block it if they can, saying, hey, this is not a period when the person is traveling, so this could be a fraudulent transfer or transaction that is happening. So talk to your financial institution before you do it. They're absolute. I know for Calcos, we are absolutely want to hear when you want to do that, so that we can be here. We can be here to help you with the fraud. Okay. Then you want to carry out international transactions, right? Your wallet may have 10 different credit cards. Say there is one card that you're going to use when you do internationally. So that if you want to say, I want to cancel this card and get a new number, you're only impacted on that one card. Okay. Use one card that allows you to do international purchases, that allows you to safeguard, and you can put some controls around it. You can call that a credit card agency or the bank or the credit union to say, hey, we are traveling internationally. Please allow transactions, but only on this card to be allowed the transaction. So you minimize the risk that you want to. Once you come back, make sure you monitor your transactions and your charges closely, right? Because during that time when you go and you come back, those few days, there are very good chances of fraudulent transactions happening, and typically we see that as well. So just make sure that that you safeguard and watch those transactions that happen. So the key things you want to take away from this is, be aware of what you're sharing publicly on in the social media, number one. Number two is, if you are going to travel internationally, work with your financial institution. CalPost will help you if you're traveling internationally so that we can make our people and systems aware. Number three is when something does happen, report. Immediately call your cell phone agency, immediately call your financial institution saying, hey, I lost my card, block everything that is happening. Then they would put a block immediately for you to help out to do. And in many cases, if you're stranded somewhere else, and I have seen that happen at CalPost and other places as well, they will mail you something depending on where you are staying and whatnot. Of course, you have to validate yourself and all those things. So we are here to help you during that journey. Just make use of us. And of course, on top of it, be safeguard yourself as well. Okay. That's the next item. The fourth one that we want to talk through is home is where you do significant portion of the business these days. And we always forget about it. Many days, whether it is Thanksgiving, Christmas shopping, or holiday shopping, or weekend shopping, we do that today more and more sitting from our own comfort of the home. Okay, that's great that we don't have to drive, we don't have to pay extra gas and whatnot. But understanding the security starts at your home as well, not just your physical lock and key, not just anything, but your Wi-Fi security, your computer security starts with it. Okay. Number one, I would say is invest in antivirus. Okay, that you want to go to. Very well-known products, a lot of US companies that make it, and you wouldn't go wrong in something investing in them. Okay, number two, there is most PCs and Macs also have firewalls. Enable them. Okay, it is your friend. In many cases, it will tell you it is blocking some sites because it doesn't think it is the right thing to do. And most cases, they are right. Okay, just be aware of it to do it. Next, your router or Wi-Fi, the device that actually connects to the internet, right? Also, we need to extremely protect it. We've seen almost in many cases, people buy the devices from the store, just plug the devices in and use the default username and password. Very easy for somebody to find it. The first thing that you do before you connect the device to do anything is change the default, password, account name and password that you can. Okay. At the very minimum, the password. Okay. Don't give that the default password that comes with the device when you bought it. Okay. Give your each Wi-Fi as a name. Give something very unique name that only you would know what that is. That doesn't mean it has to be a secret name. Give something unique and so that you know what that is, what that Wi-Fi name actually means to you. Okay. Be alert on the spoofing that somebody else is giving you free Wi-Fi, not just during travel, but around your neighborhood as well. Don't be logging into any of the Wi-Fi that you are not aware of. Those are some of the things that you can enable to be safeguarding at home. Another one I would say is more and more services today are available on the cloud. Okay. That means cloud provides you a way you can store the data. Cloud provide you can set up your files. Today, you don't even have to set up your files on your own computer. You can use Dropbox, you can use Google Drive, you can use Microsoft OneDrive, Box, whatever that may be the case. Allows you to safeguard your files and information available anywhere at any time. Very easy to do. But also very, very, very prone to risk and exposure. Okay. In many cases, you want to see if there is an encryption option available. Encrypt those files if you can. Password protect those files if you can. Make sure you use two-step authentication. Most of these file share sites that you want to use, whether it is Microsoft OneDrive, Google, or Dropbox, They have two-factor authentication. Use them. Okay, you are putting your own files on a public location. That's the way you should treat it, and you need to be able to use multi-factor authentication on those as well. Okay, I think from home, the risk exposure from home is a significant portion that we see. Hey, somebody's Wi-Fi is compromised, somebody's computer is compromised, somebody's file share is compromised. We see it more often than not. So please make sure that you take some time to secure those things and keep yourself safe. Okay. Before I go to the next slide, any questions, Christine?
Yes. Let's see, we have a couple questions, a couple actually on travel. I think that piqued some people's interest. As far as travel goes, if you're using public Wi-Fi, is it a good idea to avoid entering usernames and passwords and authenticating, especially with regard to financial accounts?
Yeah, very tricky question. And the reason I say tricky in the sense is, in some cases, the app asks you for a username and password. In some cases, the app actually stores them, so it doesn't even ask you anymore. As soon as you have saved it once, it can do that. So in both cases, you probably want to avoid public Wi-Fi, right? If you can, okay. But in all cases, we cannot. Okay. So in those cases, financial transactions or other secure transactions, I would probably avoid on the public Wi-Fi. Okay, number one. Number two, even on devices, when you have this antivirus software and what, they have another feature called VPN, Virtual Private Network, that allows you to use the public Wi-Fi, but it will encrypt everything and they have the connections go differently in terms of even when you're using known public Wi-Fi. I encourage people to do that as well when you're traveling, if you can, okay, to do. But self-protection, don't use a public Wi-Fi. But if you cannot do that, and if you have to do it for searching or getting directions to the hotel where you're staying or whatnot, yes, go and do it. That's fine. But more importantly, avoid transactions if you can. But if you do need to do in those cases, there is something called VPN, which you can install on your phone as well, or your laptop or your PC, doesn't matter where it is. It allows you to secure your network connections away from a public Wi-Fi, even though you're connected on the network that way. That is another layer of security you can provide. I think those are some of the things you could do.
Okay, great. Now, Lisa asks, I have always notified financial institutions about foreign travel, as well as credit card companies. But lately, they frequently tell me I do not need to notify them about travel. Why are they ignoring this useful information? Why do they not want to know about potential risky situations?
Yeah. So it cuts both ways. One is, in many cases, if a person is traveling a lot, okay, that usually happens. If a person is traveling a lot, they see a pattern of travel in which, and they may devise something known for that profile. But typically, I would err on the side of caution. Even if they tell me don't, I would do it. I actually call my cell phone company saying I'm traveling and I want to be able to use it. And then also call my banks to whichever bank you're going to use the card. I also tell them that I need to use that as well. I wouldn't. Yes, that is a fashion because they may understand your fraud awareness better now than before. That also tells them they probably have more systems now that can detect it. But I would take ownership on my side to say my responsibility is to let them know, and then they can act based on that, is where I would follow for the question.
Great. Next question. If you use a Mac at home and keep the firewall turned on, do you also need a third-party antivirus software such as Norton?
Yeah. So there are two aspects here. The firewall is protecting your connectivity and your presence on the thing. But your antivirus is actually protecting your PC from what it is. There are two different aspects of it. Both of them are not doing the same function, so to speak. So I would still recommend you to have an antivirus in addition to that firewall. But if your antivirus software comes with the firewall, you can turn that off and rely on your firewall that comes on the Mac. That is certainly the choice. that you want to make, whatever choice you pick. But those are two different functions. So I don't want people to say just because they have firewall, they are covered from that angle as well.
Okay, great. Next question. My current internet security software now flags about 30% of websites as not secure. These are websites that previously the same software did not flag. They should not be risky websites. So what is causing so many websites to now be flagged as risky? I have a very popular and well-known software security on all of my phones and computers.
First thing I would say is no software is perfect. Okay, so that is probably serving some room for learning. Some products learn that quickly, some do not, unfortunately. But that's one part of the equation. The second part of the equation is, even though there are some famous websites, some of them do not keep up with the trends as quickly as they should. One of the things that we look at in each website is, hey, do they have the up-to-date certificates for them to use that website? Do they use a secure form of website, or they use an unsecure form of website? Even though it may be popular, that practices may not be keeping up to date. And that may be the second reason. One is the software itself is catching up certain things, and maybe there are some kinks that they are working out. Second is the websites that you visit to, some of them may not be keeping up with the trends. I think the combination of that is what causing a lot of hassles, so to speak.
Okay, and then the last question is, Cheryl is wondering if a hard copy of this seminar will be available. She would like a checklist. So that's actually a good question. I'm sure a lot of people could use a checklist as well.
Christine, why don't we take that as a question? Very good question. Let's just ponder on that a little bit, how we can how we can put this as a checklist. We do want to help our people. Very good feedback. We will take that as a question and come back to you. But we will do something around it for sure. Absolutely.
Great. And that's the last question for now. And just for time check, it's 12:51. So we've got about 9 minutes until 1.
9 minutes to do. Sorry. I think we are very close. So the item next one is children and internet safety as well. So we want to be very careful from an internet safety perspective as well. There are a lot of information available for keeping your child to be safe on the internet. I know there is a fine line between monitoring your kids' actions versus actually prying into every step that they make. That is not a black and white view here, but certainly you want to have some level of control what your kids have access to, and that is just not for their safety but also the family's safety, because they are very easily fall into certain traps or certain usage. Now you have seen a lot of news cases where you've seen somebody is using Apple Store and they downloaded so many apps and the charges goes up. That is another part of safety. But I would say there are a lot of good technologies out there that allows you to control the sites that the kids can go to, and you can actually, whitelist them. What is whitelisting them is certain sites they need to go to, but it is getting blocked. The software allow you to say, okay, this is an exception. They can actually go to the site, so to speak. Just make sure you educate the kids as well. Absolutely, net safety is there. When I was born, of course, there was no internet, but they are born with an internet age. All they know is a cell phone these days, right? So starting with a computer at hand. That safety and education and having that control is a good thing, and applying them in a good way is the right thing to do. Okay, that's on the kids and safety. The last one I would say, before I know we are coming up on time, there are two items that I want. One is, what happens if something bad happens, right? What to do when something bad happens? Hopefully nothing happens, but in case something happens, right, you really have to act on it very quickly, because they can get at the information to do it. One is, if it is Calcos related, please call us. We are here to help you. And we will absolutely take this seriously and act on it right away. But also in other things that you can do, all the credit bureau agencies have a way you can freeze your credit. Okay, that is extremely important. You call them and freeze your credit. Okay, so that nothing, even though somebody is raking up charges, that doesn't impact your credit immediately. You want to put a lock on your credits so that nobody can do a credit validation and other things around it. So Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, everybody has this feature. You want to go do it. Okay, access your what the criminals are trying to do is they want to access your existing lines of credit, open credit cards, make some charges on it. Even file fraudulent tax returns in some cases, right? So that they can get money back. And this allows you to, by locking this, talking to your financial institution, talking to the credit bureau, allows you to put a stop to it. They can't open a new account because your credit is frozen. Your credit check is frozen. They can't open up a new card because something else you are blocked to do it. I think those are very important things that you want to go tackle in terms of this item. The last one I would say, not to rush the topic, is not everything is doom and gloom is in cyber. Okay, that is, cybersecurity is a huge thriving industry if you want to make a career out of it. Okay, here are some roles. They are only given for illustration purposes again, but they have significant upside and downside. The upside is they are very high paying jobs, one of the top paying jobs in the current industry. Okay, that you see. At the same time, the stress level is extremely high. Okay, in big companies, the chief information security officers are only there for a few years because the level of stress is so high that they see. But having said that, but it may not be cup of tea for everybody, but certainly people who interested in this field, absolutely there is a rainbow at the other end of the tunnel, at the end of the rainbow as well. Very important field, growing industry. Every one of the companies need it in some sort of fashion. So if you want to make a career out of it, something for you to explore as well. Okay. With that, I think that is the last one, Christine. I will want to give the floor back to you, and any other questions that you want to answer.
Great. Thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. I always learn a lot when I hear you talk about the work that you do, so I appreciate that. And looks like we are actually good with questions, so I'm going to go ahead and remind everyone that before we conclude, that we will be continuing our monthly webinar series next month. That date is on Wednesday, October 12th, and the topic will be the economic and market outlook. You won't want to miss that, so please go ahead and register. You can do that today. That registration is already available. And we are always available to answer questions and assist you. You can reach out to one of our branches or give us a call or message us on social media, and we will be sure to answer any questions that you may have. And with that, again, we hope that you learned something new and that you can put this information to good use. And oh, I think we have one more question, Vasu, in the nick of time here. Oh, this is okay. This is good. This is about the last topic that you were talking about. So with regards to children and internet safety, what about safety for very elderly family members who need to transact online but are showing signs of cognitive decline? What do you recommend for keeping those family members safe from scams and cyber threats?
Yeah,
it's a great question.
Very good question. I think if you ask me, where do you see a significant amount of fraud and misuse, is come from the elderly population. So we certainly talk to them. Educating them is part of it. I understand the nature of the question. Hey, if it is a declining mental health, what do you want to go tackle? Right? Put some controls on how much money they can transfer, and many of them can do that on your either in the controls directly on the website or anything. Because many cases, their typical expenses goes to house rent or some charge from the doctor's office or something. Those can be let through your periodic electricity bill and whatnot. Any other charges, you may don't want to enable those type of bill pay actions for them online. So those are some of the things that you want to certainly have being there at the time of need is goes beyond saying. More importantly, talk to us, our frontline staff. We can certainly help you to do that. The biggest one that we see in many cases that our branches also help stop is they want to send money out to somebody that they have not met. In many of those cases, our branch staff does fantastic work to do. But others, in some cases, it's very hard to catch them. It is absolutely hard, because if you are sending out, $50 out on a transaction, absolutely hard using cyber controls to catch them and do that. Education, constant communication, and talking to them, and having some controls on the account are the key things that you want to do.